So I did not see this coming, but Greg Gard landed AJ Storr out of the transfer portal, and I think this is the biggest win of Greg Gard's tenure as Wisconsin's head coach. Signing Johnny Davis was huge, but we didn't really understand the significance of Johnny signing when he did because he just wasn't a super heralded recruit. But Storr had 30-plus schools recruiting him, including 3 of the 4 Final Four schools, and one of the schools being UConn, the reigning national champs. But Storr only visited Wisconsin, and he committed pretty early on in the process, and he fills a total void for the Badgers. For Wisconsin fans, Big Ten fans, whoever watched Wisconsin last year saw the offensive struggles they went through. They know that Wisconsin was a defensive team that would just try to grind out rock fights and win it in crunch time. They would have 5, 6, 7-minute scoring droughts. The North Texas game kind of epitomized the whole season where I don't remember it exactly, but I don't think they scored for like the last 8 minutes of the game or didn't make a field goal. But now Greg Gard brings in a lengthy 6'6" athlete who is a 40+% three-point shooter, who is a total bucket, can score from all 3 levels, and is just scratching the surface of the player that he can be. Let's keep in mind that Johnny Davis, his freshman year before he popped off, only averaged like 7 points per game. But the starting lineup next year is going to be very solid for Wisconsin. It's going to be junior Chucky Hepburn. I mean, he should be much improved from sophomore to junior. People forget he was only a sophomore last year. He's not perfect, but the dude has potential to be a really good college point guard. And then you have Connor Seagen at the 2. AJ Storr will be at the 3. 4, fifth-year senior Tyler Wall. And then Stephen Crowell at the center. And then Noah Reynolds and 6-man Max Klesman coming off the bench. And everyone else, for the most part, who will be in the rotation off the bench will be very experienced and ready to go. So it's going to be a night and day. It's going to be a night and day difference because Wisconsin now has a legit athlete. And I've always been in the crowd that I think Wisconsin does really well when they have athletes on their team. People say, if you're athletic, don't go to Wisconsin. They'll play slow. But I've never agreed with that. I think Wisconsin gets the most out of their players. If you're an athlete, you will be the focal point. If you are a talented athlete like AJ Storr is, the dude is going to get a ton of isolation looks. He's going to get a ton of plays run through him. Johnny Davis, he averaged just under 20 points per game. And everything, they would just get the ball to Johnny, get out of the way. And Wisconsin does a great job of creating noise off the ball where the players playing off the ball are moving so that help defenders just can't, have a campfire out in the lane. They keep them moving to keep the lane open. And Wisconsin does a good job of utilizing athletes. I mean, Johnny Davis is a 6'5" shooting guard who's not a great ball handler, 30% three-point shooter, and he was a run-up from National Player of the Year. And you go all the way back to Alondo Tucker, 06-07, when he was a fifth-year senior. Same thing. He was not a good three-point shooter, very pedestrian three-point shooter. He was not a good ball handler, but he was averaging just under 20 points per game, and he was a runner-up for National Player of the Year behind Kevin Durant. I'm in the mindset that I think Alondo Tucker would have been a solid player, a role player at a lot of schools, but Wisconsin used him perfectly. They squeezed every ounce of juice out of Alondo Tucker, and he became a first-round draft pick at 6'5", 6'6", not being able to shoot the ball well and not dribble well. And it's a similar thing for Johnny. I mean, both are tremendous players, but my point being is that Wisconsin will isolate the hell out of you. You will get a ton of plays run for you. You'll get a ton of isolation situations, ton of plays run through you. You will be the focal point, whether it's Devin Harris, Alondo Tucker, Sam Decker, Johnny Davis. You will get your looks. Something that excites me about AJ Storr is the fact that he's athletic enough to catch lobs in transition. If you watch his highlights, there's a bunch of clips of him catching lobs. There's only so many players in Wisconsin's history that can catch lobs that are not 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet. I really would not be surprised to see AJ Storr have a fantastic year, lead the Badgers in scoring, and potentially go to the NBA after that. I'm very bullish on AJ Storr and the Wisconsin Badgers next year. Unfortunately for the Fire Greg Gard crowd, this is a huge dub for Gard. I guarantee Wisconsin is going to be a lot better than they were this past season. There's a chance they'll be really good this upcoming year with returning the entire core, bringing in Storr, who I think has star power. It's going to be night and day different. I feel bad for you guys because you're going to have to watch a lot more of Greg Gard down the road. And it reminds me of what Dan Hurley said in, I believe it was 2019-2020 season against Villanova, where he's like, hey, I hope you guys get us now because it's coming. And I think you can, to a lesser extent, say that about Greg Gard. This NIT year, they lost all these close games. Now they return the entire core. The core is hungry, and they add this huge piece in Storr, who I think has a ton of star power. So for Big Ten teams and everybody else, I hope you enjoy getting the Badgers, because something tells me it's going to be a little bit different next year.
People better get us now. That's all. You better get us now, because it's coming.
And that's all I got for you. Thank you very much for making it to the end of the video. If this is your first video with me, make sure to like and subscribe for more college basketball content, and I'll see you next time.